Okay. All right, so we're recording. So the type of listening I'm going to invite all of you to practice is what I call a deep listening. And it's really just discerning the fact that you've got some of your own thinking going on right now. And I'm just going to ask that you suspend that and stay engaged with the presentation here and just listen, okay? And listen to another. And the reason that's important is that you can actually learn something. Now, I'll share a really good metaphor here. Many of you, I know, some of you I don't, but most of you know I'm a martial artist. And as a black belt, my friends teaching a class, I often notice that, oh, I've seen this technique before. And I'm listening to my own thinking, or I'm thinking about, oh, I could do it better, or I have a different variation of this technique. And it's when I'm in that listening, I can't learn anything new, all right? So what I noticed, and I had this experience not too long ago, see, I'm still getting better at my own deep listening, and I realized the fact that I wasn't listening to the instructor. I was listening to my own thinking, and I caught it. I caught myself in that moment. And so I set my own thinking aside, and I saw a technique that I'd seen a million times, but I actually saw something that I hadn't seen before, and I learned something, okay? So that's the type of thinking, or the type of listening that I'm going to ask everybody here to do, all right? So anyways, welcome to the call. And before we start, I'd really love to hear from a few of you. This is going to be interactive, all right? So if you could just maybe just introduce yourself real quick and what you'd like to get out of the call. It looks like the call is limiting us to about 40 minutes, so I don't know if it's going to cut us right off at 40 minutes or if we'll go the whole hour, but this is a kind of a new platform for me, so we'll do our best. All right. So I'm gonna just maybe pick on somebody, and we'll just kind of go through the roster here. Craig, would you mind unmuting yourself and just introducing yourself real quick, and maybe share briefly what you'd like to get out of the call, or what brings you to the call, and what it is you'd like to create?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. Craig Saloner, San Diego, California. I have been working with Greg as my coach for a good number of months now, and the work's been super profound. The work's been, in fact, we had a we had a call this morning just about thinking and about my thinking, and you know, really, even in the last couple of hours, just paying attention to it and observing it, and been doing a lot of work around my thinking, and while intellectually understanding how your thoughts create your feelings, really becoming, getting some deeper mastery over it. And really in here, support of you as you branch out, Greg, and certainly here for my own personal development as well. So very excited, and thanks for having us.
Great. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. Cool. David Henry, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm David from Scottsdale, Arizona. I think the thing that's brought me here is realizing that thought may just be at the core of everything. And so looking to just deepen my understanding of my own thinking and how that ripples out into my life.
Great. Well, welcome, David. It's good to see you. And I'm just super excited because some of my favorite people are on the call here, and just a really wonderful opportunity to hang out with you guys. So, David, good to see you, and I'm really stoked that you're here on the call. Carla, looks like you're here. I don't know if you can unmute yourself and say hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So, I just hopped on because I know you've been doing this work for a year or two now, and I haven't really had much chance or opportunity to delve too much into it. So I just was ready to hear more right now.
Great. Well, I'm really excited to have you on the call, and I'm really glad you're here, Carla.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks, Greg.
Cool. Thank you. Ellen. You there, Ellen?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Hi, my name is Ellen Jackson, and Greg has been coaching me for over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I've learned from Greg have completely changed my life in so many different ways. And I'm very grateful for Greg, because every single time I talk to him and we have a coaching call, I learn something new. I get an insight that I didn't have before. I've been thinking differently now for months. And because of some simple, not even, they're simple, but yet they're so simple in the sense that you can apply them to everyday life. And it's truly changed how I think about everything. So
great. Awesome.
And
Thank you.
I'll probably gain another insight from this. Hopefully.
I hope so. I hope so. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Ryan, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Ryan Spradling out of San Diego. Just started working with Greg a couple months ago now, so this is all new to me, but it's been very insightful, and even some of the books that he's recommended, the book Clarity and by Jamie Smart, and just sort of internalizing that and figuring out or just being more in tune with the fact of how our feelings are direct derivatives of our thoughts, and so how that's tied together and how to sort of understand that and get a deeper understanding of how my thought controls my actions in certain situations. So I'm looking forward to it, and appreciate your help, Greg.
Great. Welcome, Ryan. All right. Bo, would you like to introduce yourself and maybe let us know who's there in the room with you?
Test. Volume. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I've been coaching with Greg for 5 years now. It's been awesome. I got onto this subject matter with him a little over a year, and it's just been incredible. And so I'm just here to deepen that knowledge and understanding. And more importantly, I'm excited to expose the Transparent Mortgage team some of this. JJ, Erica, Daisy, and Rob. So we're pumped. Let's get into it.
All right, great. Welcome, everybody. I'm stoked that you're on the call, and I'm really excited to share this information. Really, I've been a little bit about me. I've been coaching for over almost 25 years, and I stumbled on this new understanding, and it's just been really, really impactful, effective, and so simple. But the transformation and the changes in people's lives is really extraordinary. So I've decided to completely change my coaching practice and really dedicated my life to helping people understand what's underneath the hood of the human experience. Because what I've found is once they have that understanding, they easily solve their own problems. And it's really, really phenomenal. So welcome, Bo and the Transparent Mortgage team. Let's see. Who else do we have? Manny, would you introduce yourself, please? Oh.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So yeah, my name is Manny Potter, and I'm from Tampa, Florida. And I'm here. Ellen has talked to me about you for a long time, and got to meet you back in June, July. And no, I'm here today to see how all this thinking can affect us on a daily basis.
Cool. Great. Welcome, Manny. I'm glad you're here.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So did I miss anybody? Is anybody here that I possibly missed? If I did, I apologize. I'm trying to manage and teach, and I'm kind of one-man band here. So if I overlook somebody, just enter something in the chat and let me know. So I want to tell you just a funny story about this presentation, creating effortless results. I decided to start working on this project maybe, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And last week I was working on it, and I was getting some feedback from a friend of mine. And in the middle of getting feedback from him, I realized I put together a slide deck, which I wanted to share in the webinar. And I realized that everything that I had worked on, I had accidentally not saved it and deleted it. I'm going, oh my gosh. But I'd already started the momentum. I already started telling people about it. People are saying, yeah, I'm in. And so I ended up back at ground zero. And then ironically, a couple days later, I get this out of the blue call of somebody saying, hey, we're looking for a coach to do a webinar for our organization and our team. And I wanted to reach out to you and see if you might be interested in something like that. And I'm all, oh, this is really interesting. And he said, yeah, we're working with entrepreneurs and self-employed people, and we want content to help them overcome their fears and objections and all this. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. I said, I'm creating a webinar right now that would be really relevant to that. And so I sent him the marketing material that I had created. And he said, oh my God, this is like the glass slipper, Cinderella's glass slipper. It seems like a really great fit. And he said, my job is to reach out and see if we have somebody that would be a good fit. I want to introduce you to my boss. And so I got on the phone with his boss, and he said, yeah, we really want to do something. We want to do it this Friday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this Friday. So I was just feeling in over my head, you know. I lost my slide deck. Now I have this opportunity showing up out of the blue, and I'm doing something called creating effortless results. And so I'm like in over my head. And so I said, okay, sure, let's do it. And so we did it. We scheduled it for last Friday. And then there was a couple correspondence, and I started to get really nervous. And I started to notice my thinking started to get really insecure. And anyways, I told the guy I would do it, but then I started having second thoughts because my thoughts started to get the best of me. And I actually tried to call the guy and back out at the last minute because that's how bad my thinking had gotten to me. And he says, oh my gosh, I can't cancel. I already sent out the invitations. I've got all these people registered and this and that. And anyways, and I was starting to come down with a cold, and I had all these excuses, and my thinking was getting the best of me. And I said, oh gosh. So I said, well, I'm a man of my word. I'll keep my agreement, and the show must go on. And so on Friday, I did this presentation, this webinar, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was in over my head. I was using a platform I've never used before. And this guy's coaching me through it to get everything and get my slides up. I created a whole new slides and all that. And it was over 40 people from all over the world. And it was amazing. And it was all lecture. There was no interaction. It was just my PowerPoint slide, almost like just talking to this group of people. And I was blown away. Now, what happened for me is that not only did the noise in my mind start to get more because I jumped in over my head, but my inner wisdom came to the rescue. And before that call, I just dropped into my grounding based on my understanding, and I just let it rip. And they were completely blown away. So today I'm going to share with you that slide deck, okay? And then at the end, we're going to go over Q&As and see what touched you and see what meant something to you. How does that sound? Is that good? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and try to bring that slide deck up now. I'm going to get through it. The purpose of this presentation is just to kind of whet your appetite, just to kind of introduce you to these ideas. And that's really the purpose of this. So if you can just kind of listen from that point, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. All right. Bear with me 1 second here. All right. So if you can give me a thumbs up, can you see the screen? Okay, cool. All right. So the topic here is the secret to business growth and performance is understanding this, okay? Mental mastery, 3 principles for creating effortless results. So I want to talk about the mental mastery aspect of things. The opposite of mental mastery would be mental illness, okay? And so what I mean by mental illness is worrying is a form of mental illness. Overthinking is a form of mental illness. So mental mastery, from my point of view, and again, I'm asking you to listen without what you think it is or your ideas of any of this, and just listen and allow yourself to be touched and moved by the presentation. So mental mastery is really the ability to have your head on straight, to have a clear mind, to have an open heart, and to go about whatever it is you're trying to do or create with a sense of engagement, with a sense of joy, and with a sense of purpose. Because here's what most people have stumbled on or have come to realize. They've come to realize that their thinking or their state of mind has something to do with performance and results. Okay? Now, what unfortunately many people are trying to manage their mental mastery very innocently because they don't understand how their mind actually works. But they do inherently, in their inner wisdom, they know that their mental mastery has something to do with the experience they're having in life, the performance levels that they're performing at, and the results. And so innocently, people are trying to gain a sense of peace of mind. So some people will meditate, some people will do yoga, some people will have a couple drinks or smoke a little weed or do something because they realize the importance of mental clarity. And they realize that they're able to tap into a larger system if they're not bombarded by overthinking. All right? So that's what we're going to be talking about here. So the objective here is not for you to leave. Like, it's not for you to leave with an intellectual understanding of anything I'm saying. Okay? The objective here is for you to realize for yourself that your mind only works one way. To realize for yourself that your mind has a built-in design for success. And for you to realize that the deeper you realize these two facts, the more capacity and capability you will access to get things done, no matter what. Whether it's being a better parent, a better partner, a better business owner, to performing at higher levels in sports, it doesn't matter what. Okay? So what won't mean anything to you, what won't be helpful at all, is if you just grasp this at an intellectual level. So that's why I've invited you to listen from a place of deep listening. Don't listen to your own thinking in this moment. Don't try to understand anything I've said. Just stay in the conversation and let your own personal thinking fade to the back burner and allow your listening to move forward and allow yourself to be opened and touched to realize something for yourself. Okay. So according to Harvard University and the World Economic Forum, and this was in 2014, 2015, mental health issues may cost $16 trillion in output over the next 20 years. Okay? So you could say corporate America or the world at large, the universities are realizing that performance and results have a lot more to do with our mental health. Okay, so mental health being stress, anxiety, overthinking, multitasking, whatever it is, that we're really, really clear that mental health issues are the reasons or gets in the way of us being at our highest level of genius and performance. So I have a really bold statement in working with my clients and coming to the work that I do. And that statement is you can never outperform your state of mind. You can never outperform your state of mind. So I'd invite you just to try that on. Try that on, that you can never outperform your state of mind. So I'd like to illuminate that with a story of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, as you know, most of you know, was at the top of his field in golf, was unstoppable. He was the most winning golfer I think we've ever experienced. And then what happened is he had a series of personal events, okay, that made the media, and you could say it really impacted his state of mind. And then what did we see with Tiger Williams' performance? It tanked, didn't it? It tanked. So this is a perfect example of you can never outperform your state of mind. So in this webinar, what we're going to do is really invite you to look at your relationship and the relationship between state of mind and performance, okay? I'm also going to invite you or share with you what I consider a new psychology to going about things. So a new psychology. Psychology meaning your psyche. Another word for psyche is your mind, okay? All right, so it looks like they're going to limit my call here. They're saying that I'm limited to 40 minutes here, so we're going to try to keep this going here. And it's not letting me click out of this, so just hang on with me one second. And I'm going to have to click that and then go back. Okay. All right. So the other thing is I want to talk about limitations of daily rituals. So again, remember I said that people have this inkling. We all know that our thinking has something to do with our ability to perform, engage, have a meaningful and fulfilling life. So a lot of people have daily rituals innocently trying to clear their head and get their head on straight. And in fact, I know a lot of people that their whole half of their day is focused on morning rituals, and it's just kind of getting in the way of things. So just bear with me here. I'm multitasking. I've got people chiming in and maybe having questions. So just bear with me here one second. And then the other thing we're looking at here is how to discourage-proof your business. And another way to say that is just how to become more resilient. And when you understand that your mind only works one way and that there's a built-in design for success, the natural byproduct is resilience, okay? And then if we have some time, we'll do some Q&A, and if not, you guys can feel free to reach out to me personally and get all your questions answered, okay? So I want all of you to kind of think about these questions kind of in the back of your mind as we're working through this and I'm presenting this. What determines your ability to do your best work? What derails or demotivates you at work? When are you at your very best? And what are the factors that tend to make something difficult for you? And then what type of mind is responsible for high performance? So just keep that in mind, these questions in mind as we go through the material here. All right, so the surprising truth behind what really drives performance. But first, what is so important about performance? Like, why are people really interested in performance? Well, we're interested in performance because everybody wants results. We want more of something, less of something. We want bigger muscles, less body fat. We want more customers, more clients, more members. So the reason everybody's keyed into performance is they want better results. All right. So the question is, performance actually drives results. So that's why everybody wants to get better. They're looking for the competitive advantage to increase performance. What drives performance is behavior. And most coaching and leadership has been stuck in this model right here, is if we can just manage behavior, if we can just get people to do certain things, control people's behavior, manage their behavior, get them to do what they say they're going to do, then their performance would go up and the results would show for themselves. But unfortunately, behavior is too far down in the food chain. And it doesn't make sense to manage behavior, and it's not the best and most effective way to get results. So we have to look at what comes before behavior. And what comes before behavior is mood, okay? So most of you will have an experience of getting out of bed in the morning and knowing that there's certain things that you need to get done or want to get done or desire to get done, but you just don't feel like it, okay? Are you guys with me? Most people have got out of bed and had that experience. It's like, gosh, I know better. I know I should go to the gym, or I know I should be making calls, or I know I should be reaching out, or I know I should be working on my marketing. But gosh, I can't fight my way out of a wet paper bag today in terms of my mood. So what happens is mood is really, really important. And if you're in a low mood, you're going to get really low performance and low results. So the work that we're doing, and kind of the sweet spot here, is we're looking at getting people and how to stay in a high mood, okay? And the higher the mood we're in, that drives a really different type of behavior, performance, and the results show up, all right? But the question is, what drives mood, or what's connected with mood? And so we're going to look at the missing link. The missing link is, most people realize if I feel like crap, I'm going to do crappy work. But what comes before mood? And that's the missing link. It's so obvious, and it's so pervasive. It's so overlooked and under-respected. And the missing link is thought. Okay? So I want to go back and ask you, where do your feelings come from? Where do your moods come from? All right. Now, most people, it's funny. I was asking my 8-year-old son, we were on a road trip. I said to him, Mason, where do you think your feelings come from? And he pointed to his head. Like, my 8-year-old has put it together. He knows that his moods have something to do with his thinking. But as human beings, we live in a world of thought, like fish live in a world of water, and we can't see our own thinking is creating or has something to do with our feelings and our moods. That's the missing link. So thoughts drive our moods, which drive our behavior, which drive performance, which drive results. Now, again, remember I asked you to listen from a place of deep listening. And what that means is listen to this as you've heard it for the first time, or beginner's mind. Now, a lot of people have put together a lot of different modalities, a lot of different teachings have put this together at some level. Like, thought has something to do with my experience. That's why people go to therapy, and that's why people try to think positive, and that's why people try to write gratitude lists, because they realize that thought has a lot to do with things, okay? But what I'm going to share with you is beyond that, okay? So what we don't want to do is we don't want to get involved with our thought. I don't want you to become experts at positive thinking. I don't want you to try to manage your thoughts. I don't want you to try to control your thoughts. I want you to understand something invisible that comes before this. And that's really the crux of all of this work here, is for you to look in the direction, not of thought itself, but what comes before that, okay? And what comes before that, and the crux of the work that I'm now doing with people, is helping them understand three principles, three invisible forces, invisible powers behind the human experience that, when understood, that when respected, allows you to become and create results effortlessly. So going back to performance, I just kind of threw this slide in. A lot of people's misunderstanding around performance is that if I want to increase performance or improve performance, I have to have more skills. So you could say, if I'm going to be better at business, I have to have better business skills. Or, you know, I can't start a business, I don't have any business experience, you know. Or you could say, I'm just the support person on my team, I don't have any experience on business development. So people kind of hang out in these lower two, trying to look at what skills do I need, what experiences do I need. And a lot of marketing preys on people on these two things, that you need more experience and more skills. And I'm going to suggest that there's something else that's more important in the equation, and it's your state of mind or your attitude about going about things. There's a lot of evidence supporting people with businesses or education or whatever, that their success and the results they create is not dictated on skills or experience. They're helpful, but the most important thing for performance is your state of mind. Okay? So I want to go back to these three principles. What are these three principles that I'm pointing to? These three principles, these invisible powers that all of us as human beings share in common. It's universal mind, universal consciousness, and universal thought. So first of all, I want to talk about principles. These are three principles, okay? A principle does not care whether you believe in it or not. The principle of gravity could care less if you believe in it or not. It still exists. Whether you respect it, whether you believe it, doesn't matter. So a principle is a principle. It's constant. It's always available. It's continuous. It's never ending. So the principle of universal mind is in existence right now. And the more we wake up to that, the more access we have to our innate wisdom, intelligence, common sense. And like I said, there's a built-in design for our success when we're aligned with that, when we're tuned into it. Universal consciousness. We're all conscious. You couldn't be here right now if you weren't conscious. Now, your levels of consciousness will dictate your experience. So all of you right now are at some level of consciousness. Your level of consciousness is going to be the most crucial part of what you're getting out of here right now. So you could say, if your consciousness right now was at the level of skeptic, that's what you're going to get out of this presentation. If your consciousness was at a higher level of let's just say, of love or gratitude, or you just had a groundedness, you'd get something entirely different. So our consciousness and how we show up to life has a great factor of how life occurs for us. The third principle is universal thought. And universal thought is really the power human beings have to create. Now, for years, I've been looking at personalities and behaviors and what separates masculine from feminine energy and all this other stuff. What I'm fascinated in right now is what everybody on this call, what every human being on the planet shares in common. And when I focus on that, it increases my humanity, increases my kindness, it increases my connectivity. It brings us all into oneness, okay? So these three principles are key, and when we're aligned with those, our lives work really well. Our businesses work really well. So again, this is just the tip of the iceberg, an introduction to these concepts, okay? So the three principles at work. The first big idea here, or concept or fact really, is that we live in a world of thought. This is not a concept. It's not an idea. It's a fact. The fact is we live in a world of thought. The more we wake up to that, the more powerful we are, the more creative we are. Our innate well-being and mental health improves the more we see into this and we realize this. Next is wisdom is always there to guide us if we know where to look. Okay? So these principles that we're pointing to are invisible. They're formless. Yet as human beings, we have the ability to perceive them. It's when we turn like a satellite dish. A satellite dish is useless if it's not turned in the right direction. And human beings are the same way. When we're struggling, when life's going hard, when we're having to work really hard and put a lot of effort and not get a really good performance or results, that's a sign that you're turned in the wrong direction. Your personal satellite dish is not turned in the right direction to give you access to your own wisdom, your own inner genius, your own creative ideas, innovation. Next, if someone's thinking doesn't change, they can't change. The funny thing is, so many people reach out to me for coaching. They want to change, but they don't want to change. Well, here's the good news. All that needs to change is your thinking. Most people realize that their best thinking got them here, but it won't get you there. All of you are here because you want to create something in your life. So you're going to need some fresh thinking. Next is our minds. When our mind clears, our genius appears. And again, that's just looking in the right direction, getting your satellite turned in the right direction, and it's aligning with these principles that are always at bay. We don't have to think our way out of problems. Now, a week ago, I was working with someone, and she was a big thinker, and we were talking. She was on a call. And she alluded to the fact that she was a big fan of Einstein. And as we were talking, what she bumped into was her thinking. And she got to see that her problem was created in her thinking, and that she was trying to solve her way out of that problem with more thinking. Okay? So I reminded her of Einstein, and Einstein had a beautiful saying. He said, whatever domain the problem is created in, you can't solve it in that. So that points to the fact that what Einstein was pointing to the fact is that the domain that the problem was created, and I'm going to suggest that human beings' problem is created in their thinking, that you can't solve your problem through your thinking, that you have to have access to a different domain. Next, your mind has a built-in design for success. The next one is you get what you see is what you get. So this is really powerful when we understand that our thinking, our consciousness, and our mind is so powerful that your level of consciousness and what you think dictates how the world occurs for you. So, for example, about a month ago, my son was I was really getting worked up about him. And I was really starting to see him as disrespectful and rude and all these things. And as I started to see him that way, it actually magnified things. And I had to step back, and I said, wow, I have a choice here. I can see him as rude and disrespectful, or I can see him as a human being with mind, consciousness, and thought, and that he's stuck in some sort of insecure thinking, which is causing his mood. And, lo and behold, when I start seeing him as this unconditional love or this universal mind, consciousness, and thought, I get a very different outcome. Well, in a matter of a week, our whole relationship shifted because I saw the power in what you see is what you get. Okay. Now I was talking with someone earlier today, and they were seeing something as really hard. Okay. They go, gosh, it's really hard. So guess what? If you see things as really hard, guess what you're going to get? Really hard. All right. So be careful what you see, because what you see is what you get. In low states of mind, it's unwise to believe, trust, or follow your thinking. So I was talking with a client about a week ago, and he was in a low state of mind. And in that low state of mind, he went and decided it would be a good idea to look at his bank account. Okay, and then as he looked at his bank account, it threw him in a lower state of mind. And then he really thought that that was a good idea to share with his partner or his wife. Okay, and that just points to the fact that that's not a really good strategy. So when you're in a low state of mind, number one, it's unwise to believe and trust your thinking, and it's even more unwise to react and act out on that thinking, because it creates a ripple effect. All right. So the next one is to listen deeply to others instead of our own thinking gives us a much richer experience. So I started off the whole call with this one idea here, because the deeper you listen to others instead of your own thinking, you actually have access to universal mind, thought, and consciousness. When we're listening to our own thinking, we've now bumped the satellite dish off its connection. So for each of us, we have a built-in design for success. The satellite is either bumped off and turned into direct signal with our innate intelligence, or it's bumped and all we get is noise. And so for each of us, we have to learn to discern noise from signal and understand that we have the ability to reorient our personal satellite, if you will, and tap back into signal. So there's signal and noise. It's the most important thing to discern as human beings. We're only as stuck as our thinking, okay? So the deeper you realize that you live in a world of thought, you understand that people aren't stuck. All that's stuck is that their thinking's stuck. And when people's thinking is fluid, okay, life becomes real easy, and good ideas come to them, and fresh ideas come to them. But when people are stuck in their thinking, their whole life also appears to get stuck. Why? It goes back to what you see is what you get. If you're stuck in your thinking, you're going to be stuck in life and in the world. So I want to introduce this new paradigm. It's the inside out. Let me just keep an eye on time here. Okay, so yeah. So I'm just gonna stop right here for this moment, and we may end up needing to do another webinar perhaps in a week or so. But I'm gonna stop here. I want to hear from you guys rather than me rattle off and go through all these and see what's landed so far. Hang on one sec. All right. So cool. So I'd like to hear from some of you so far, just on what you've gotten and what you've heard, and anything I might need to clear up. And the other thing is, if we do get cut off here, I have everybody's email. What I'll do is I'll send you real quickly a new call to jump into with a new link, okay? And if you have time, go click that, check your email, click that link, and come back if we get cut off, okay? Is that a deal? All right. So for those of you that want to, if we get cut off, okay. All right. So okay. So Bo, are you still there? Okay, so it looks like maybe some people got cut off and already got bounced from the call. So I'm not sure. Let's see here. Ellen, you're still there. Bo, you're there. Bo, can you unmute yourself for a second?
Yes.
Okay, so it says it looks like we got 10 people, so I don't know that we lost anybody. You still on the call? You got a notice, though, that says you're going to get bounced?
Oh, not me, no.
Oh, okay, okay, got it. Okay, got it. So anybody have any questions so far about anything that we've talked about?
Yeah, Greg, I just texted you, or not texted you, but chatted you, but I figured I'd just say.
Okay,
great. You mentioned finding and accessing a different domain when problems arise rather than staying in our own state of thinking. So how do you recommend doing that and accessing that different domain?
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, the first thing, let me so I have it's important to understand how we create our experience, Brian. And it's really, really simple. In fact, it's so simple that we overlook it. That we have a built-in design for success. And what that means is that we're always feeling our thinking in the moment. Okay? So like everybody here, if you just check in with yourself and you go, what is my experience right now? Okay, so if you're experiencing confusion, if you're experiencing joy, if you're experiencing nervousness, if you're experiencing anxiety, just notice that. And notice the fact that you have something to do with that in the moment via your thinking. Okay, so what that means is that a depressed person can't be depressed without depressed thinking. Okay? Now, when somebody realizes that and they see the fact that they've got depressed thinking going on and they have something to do with it, and they realize that it's only because they're thinking depressed thoughts that they're having that experience, it dawns on them, they see for themselves, like that first thing, what I want you to realize is realize for yourself that I have something to do with my experience. Now, you know, most people, if you ask them where their experience comes from or where their feelings come from, you know what they do? They look outside of themselves to circumstances, people, their biology, their chemistry, whatever it is, and they never look at the fact that they have something to do with it. Okay? So remember what I said earlier, the mind only works one way. Only works one way. Okay, and that all human beings create their own experience in the moment no matter what. Nobody can make you think. Nobody can make you feel. Nobody can create your experience for you but you. This is really good news. The more people see that, they start to make a shift from a victim lifestyle to an empowered creator lifestyle, and they get the fact that they're the creator of their experience. Okay, so for example, I have a friend who's detained right now for an immigration violation. Okay, but he has this understanding. You'd think that because of the circumstances he's in, he'd be having a really bad experience, but we've been. You've reached the telephone of Greg Clowminzer. Please hang on a second. I'll call you back. I actually unplugged my phone before all of this, so this wouldn't happen. I don't know what's going on here. So. Yes, this is Veronica West with the Better Business Bureau. Please return my call at 858-427-1175. All right. That's 858-427-1175. All right. Well, that's Veronica with the Better Business Bureau. So thanks, Veronica, for joining the call here today. So, Ryan, when I started to see, and I remember I was doing the dishes and I was realizing I was having a really bad experience. And it really looked like it had something to do with my ex-wife. It really looked like it. And in that moment, I go, well, she's not even here. I'm creating this experience doing the dishes. I'm the one having this upset and this angst and all of this. I'm the one creating it. And in that moment, I realized, I saw for myself how much of a victim I had been in my marriage and in my life, that I was blaming my experience on someone else. Now, once I realized that, it was like finding balance on a bicycle. Boy, it set me free. And I started to see moment by moment that I'm creating my experience in the moment, like not intellectually. I didn't have this. I had an understanding. Now, I'll tell you, I'm a free man. I'm a free man. It rarely dawns on me that my experience is coming from outside of me. Now, I'm still human and it still happens, you know, and sometimes I want to blame my son, you know, for my experience, but I know better now. I know that if I'm upset at my son, it's because I have some thinking that he should be more respectful. And the more I have that thought of him being more respectful, the more angst it has. And then I have a thought about what kind of parent am I? And then I have a kind of thought, well, if I let him get away with that, he's going to be a terrorist or so, you know, some kind of crazy thinking. And then I feel really bad about it. But I'm generating all of that on my own. It has nothing to do with him. Now, the more I see that, Veronica just called from the Better Business Bureau. Like I could go, gosh, that really looked unprofessional, and boy, I've really lost my step here with the group. No, I don't. It has nothing to do with my experience. I'm just stoked to be on this call with all of you. I'm glad that you're asking good questions and that you're participating. I'm right back here. I'm responsible for the experience that I'm creating here. And I'm not attached to an outcome. I don't care if you guys like it. I'm not attached to you getting a realization. I would love it if you saw something for yourself. Okay? Because it's kind of like this. Why I'm so passionate about this is no different than if you ate at a really good restaurant and you wanted to share it with all your friends. That's all that's happened here, is that I've realized something, I've seen something, I understand something that's so simple and so profound that makes such a huge difference that I want it for others. So I've decided to dedicate my life to share that. That's it. Now, I just share. I'm unattached to the outcome. All right? Does that help at all, Ryan?
Yes, it does. It does help.
Okay. How so? How so? What did all that mean to you?
It helps to get sort of a framework in order to analyze or look at each situation and be able to take a step back and understand that it is my thinking that I'm creating the situation. Mm-hmm. I think I feel it's a process in order to work through that and still not let it affect me. Mm-hmm. But at least the initial step is there in realizing of where that experience that I have in that moment is coming from. And it's not necessarily being dictated to me by external.
Cool. Excellent. Great. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. Well, it's hard for me not to just kind of get together and talk for any less than about 90 minutes. Okay. And we're coming up on the hour and it's lunch, and I want to honor everybody's time and commitment. As you can see, we're just kind of scratching the surface here. I'm just curious here to hear from you guys. How many of you would be interested in just spending a day together and deepening your understanding around this, and like in a real informal way, like from 9 to 5 or from 10 to 4, where we just get together and we share. So I just wanted to kind of scratch the surface and introduce you. How many of you would be interested in that? And if you go down there, I think if you hit participant, I think you can raise your hand, or if you want to just put in the chat going, yeah, I'd really like to spend a day together and get a better understanding of this. Now, I want you to understand that I want to make it real affordable. It wouldn't be anything more than $100, $79, and we just hang out together and have a better understanding. So I don't want it to prevent anybody from learning, okay? So how many of you would be interested in just hanging out with me for a day and getting an understanding of this? And if it's okay if you don't, it's okay if you go, well, I think I've heard this, or I'm on my path, no problem. But how many of you would be interested? Okay, just let me know. All right, cool. All right, awesome. And then I think that's kind of the next step. So for those of you who are interested, here's the deal. I have more content to share here. So I think we have like a part 2. So I'm going to send everybody a part 2 to the mental mastery course, okay? Because we got only maybe halfway through. And so how many people would be interested in the part 2, like the follow-up of this? Okay, so just let me know. All right, great. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to invite you guys to do a part 2, and then I'm going to see how many people want to maybe spend the day together, and then I'll personally invite you to come spend the day together and hang out. How's that sound? Okay, cool. All right. So what I'd like to do is just give everybody a quick chance to check out. I know this was really quick, at least from my point of view. I'm going to start with you, Ryan. What did you get out of the call here? What helped you?
Just furthering the understanding of the inside-out perspective.
Awesome. Great. Thanks. I'm really glad that you were here, Ryan. Thank you for joining.
Your hair looks great today, Greg.
Thanks. Craig, how about you? What was helpful here for you?
Yeah, I think I agree with Ryan. I get these in sort of bite-sized chunks during our coaching calls. It's nice to sort of see a nice overview. A couple things that I didn't, that I had were new to me was that the mind only works in one way, and that it has a built-in design for success. So really like that, that the more we can get out of our thinking and just allow it just to float naturally. So that felt good as well.
Great. Thanks, Greg. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. David, Henry.
Yeah, it helped deepen my understanding also. I think I'm getting the connection between thought and mood. So using mood as a way to kind of know where my thinking is at.
Wow, that's great. If you saw that, that's really great. I
think I jumped a step ahead, but that's what's coming up.
That's the part 2. That's where we're headed. That would be the part 2 for the next one. So that's really great that you see that connection, David. Thank you. Really glad that you're here too.
Me too. Thanks.
Cool. Bo, how about you and the guys there? Just curious.
For me, I love going back to the basics. I think the more I learn about the principles, the more I realize that going back to the basics is equally as valuable as any of the farther stuff. And then when you said the part about what you see is what you get, I don't think I'd ever heard that before. So that to me was a new insight that just right in that moment just kind of popped for me. So I'm super pumped about that. Mm-hmm. Guys?
Yeah. Anybody else?
It's awesome. Really like the low state of mind part. Reacting when you're in a low state of mind, because I've definitely been there. Burned some bridges. Didn't check bank accounts, but bad reactions. So it's a good reminder.
That's great. Now the power in that understanding is if you're in a relationship. Now, one of the really powerful things about this understanding is once you realize it for yourself, you realize how every other human being ticks. Okay. And if you're in a relationship and you decide it's a good time to talk with your partner and you see that they're in a low mood, it's not a really good idea to approach them. And the same thing for an employee. If you can see an employee's in a low mood or your boss is in a low mood, they're probably not going to be available for a deep listening or to hear something without taking it personal. So this understanding helps you kind of navigate and increase your levels of performance and effective with other human beings. But it all starts with your realization. Like sometimes people try to use this out in the world too much. No, deepen your own understanding with it. Once you understand it, man, life will open up for you in ways you never even dreamed of. So thank you, Bo, and thank you for being so as passionate about this as I am and bringing your team on it. It really means a lot to me, Bo, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Kai? Kai, is that you, Kai? It says Robert Goodman, but is it?
No, it is Robert Goodman.
Oh, Robert.
It is
Okay,
Robert Goodman.
Thanks,
yeah,
Robert.
Yeah. I definitely, I feel like a lot of the talking points that were covered are things that I feel pretty comfortable with, but definitely the low mood aspect, and not necessarily with myself, but in recognizing that in other people and engaging in those conversations with other people, especially, my wife, when I come home and she's frustrated and I get into the problem solving mentality, as opposed to listening and some of those things, and sort of recognizing the right time to approach topics. So I think that's really what I got the most out of.
Awesome. And what I would say, Robert, too, is the deeper understanding I have of this, and knowing that I have access to my own grounding and my own good mood at any given time, like it's always within me. And when I go into engaging with my partner from that deeper place, that good mood, it has a tremendous impact on another. Really, really huge. Okay. But if I'm caught up in my thinking, my insecure thinking, and I'm overthinking, that also has a tremendous impact on my partner. Okay. So it's awesome that you guys are putting that together. So thank you. I'm glad that you're here, Robert. Ellen, how about you?
I really liked Ryan's question about how do you handle something when it's a difficult situation that you're presented with, and because that's always something I think about. Oh, this is all great, this is all really good, but what happens when you're in the thick of it and something happens that becomes emotional or becomes frustrating? All these skills of really teaching us to go back to our groundedness and first of all feel that feeling that you're feeling for a moment. Take the time to feel that, and then go back to your groundedness. And I think that was really important to me, because I know that I've lost track of that from time to time.
Got it. And then the last piece there is just remember our humanness. Like that's a really big part of this, is like we're human. And by design, we have all these moods and all these experiences available to us, and just really be more appreciative to that, and that we're not robots and, supposed to live in this really narrow domain of, happiness and bliss. That we have this full range of experiences as human beings, and to cut us some slack sometime in terms of our humanity.
Right.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Cool. Manny?
Hey. So for me, I think for me,
You're breaking up a little bit, Manny. Can you say that again? Looks like we're having some technical difficulty there, Manny. So, okay. I'm gonna move on here.
Sure.
So, Manny, if you mute yourself, please, and Carla, if you'd let us know what you got.
Hey, yeah. So, I guess the main thing, it seems like, in this whole approach is that our thoughts create our reality, and we are 100% responsible for our reality. So just realizing how much control I really have in any given situation of, what's going on, how I'm experiencing it, I should say.
There you go.
Exactly. Great, Carla. Thank you. I'm glad you were here. It's too bad I couldn't see your face.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Did I miss anybody? Is anybody there that didn't get a chance to share?
JJ.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, listen, everyone. I want to thank you again for being here today. You know what? I just had an idea. I recorded the last webinar, and it was just strictly lecture, and it went through all of the points. It's about an hour and a little over, about 90 minutes. How many of you would like to take a look at that? It's just a real straight lecture. It's all content. Okay. There's no interaction. So I'll make sure all of you get a copy of that along with this one, and then you can, at your leisure, go back and listen to them. But again, I want to thank you for being here today and spending time with me. I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I will look forward to connecting with you guys soon. If you want to reach out and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me personally. Other than that, thanks again for being on the call. And
Outstanding.
Bye.